I'm so glad someone's happy out here. Anyway, no, we do have a very interesting panel tonight. It's about selling artwork on the internet. People say, well, I want to sell on Etsy, or I want to sell on, I want to make my own website, or I want to do, this, that, the next sort of thing. There are so many possibilities for how you can actually sell on the internet. We thought that we would explore them. And as part of it, we have 3 of our panelists, all of whom have different but equally successful strategies for selling on the internet. So we have Iris Grundler, who will come up, and Susan Palomino, not Sal and Susan, Susan Palomino, and Roz Williams. What I'd like to do is start with a few things to just give you some food for thought as to what's required for selling on the internet, no matter how you do it. And these are also things that we've learned. Yes, opportunities for selling artwork are virtually infinite. There's for every 10 that we list, you can probably think of 5 more. Whatever path you choose, you're going to want to augment it with other marketing activities. Nothing works in a vacuum. You can't just say, I'm going to own an Etsy store and stop there. I'm going to make my own website and stop there. It doesn't work. You have to combine a store with some social media, with some email. You have to do several combinations if you really want it to work for you. Any method that you choose should be considered only part of your overall marketing efforts. Any method you choose is going to have strengths or weaknesses. And one of the things that as you're going through your different options for selling on the internet, you're going to have to think, what are the pros and cons? For something that may be, this one costs more money, but it may have more visibility. Or you may choose one that has less visibility, but you want to make that up with other things, and overall it will cost less. Everything has a unique pricing structure. Sometimes it's by commission. Sometimes you pay, if you're using PayPal to take money, that has a commission charge. The Etsy has a price per item that you sell. There's, everything's got its own special pricing structure, and there's nothing consistent across the board. And no matter what people say, it does require some effort to set up however you're going to sell on the internet. It requires effort to set up in the first place. It requires effort to maintain, and you need to be doing other things to help get people to your website or your Etsy page, whatever you want to do in order for them to buy things. You can't just put a shingle up on the internet and have people come. It doesn't work. Okay. So for the purpose of this, and this is an article that I had, and I thought I had it in here, the name of the person anywhere, but there's someone on the internet who's actually done a lot of this categorization for me. Categorization. You can have your own website or online store, and you can do that in at least 3 different ways. You can have a complete website platform like WordPress or Joomla. The NVHG website is on Joomla. I think Roz is going to talk a little bit about WordPress, but there where you kind of start from scratch and you can have anything you want. If you can figure out how to do it, it's yours. You can have your do-it-yourself website builders like Wix, Weebly, GoDaddy.com. They set up templates for you. You can choose a template and then insert all of your information into that template and have a website. There's drawbacks to that because you may not be able to do exactly what you want. On the other hand, an enormous amount of the work is already done for you. You can also, Square now has a shop section. If you're using Square, there's a way that you can build a site on the Square application. There's another one called Shopify, and both of them offer point of sale and marketing and website services. So that's another thing you can look at. Second category is online marketplaces. That would include people like Etsy and Amazon and eBay. You've got social media sites like Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram. And some of those you can actually buy through them now. It used to be it was just, you had to send somebody to a website. Now you can actually buy through some of those sites. There are art-focused online marketplaces and galleries, like ArtFinder and ArtClode. What they do is artists who have sold things have built a template for artists, and now you can sign up to be in part of their marketplace. So theoretically, you're part of a marketplace that already has a customer base coming to it. Plus you have kind of the sanction and recommendations of the artist group that created the website in the first place. You have, depending on what you do, there's print-on-demand dropship vendors, and a lot of people who do prints and paper goods and things, cards and so forth, do that. People will go to your site, they can order whatever photo they want and whatever size they want, and it gets drop shipped directly to them. And then there's digital art marketplaces, if you do digital art, like Big Stock and Envato. There are also artist-run website platforms, and these are artists who are website builders, and they provide marketing, website hosting, etc. Basso is one, Other People's Pixels, artist-run websites. There are a number of them out there. You will be able to download this presentation from our website if you want to get all of these names later. Anyway, no matter which option you choose, you're going to need really good photos. This is not the time to photograph your jewelry on a wrinkled bed sheet. Doesn't work. I have seen people who have turned in photos to be juried for an exhibition who have done just that. You can't do it. If your product isn't appealing from the picture and people can't tell what it is, how big it is, what it looks like on all sides, and so forth, if your whites are blown out, you're not going to sell. People don't want to buy something that looks like trash. Sorry. You're going to need complete information on your products, and you can do this in a database. You can do it by hand. It doesn't really matter, but you need to know what your item is, what one can do with it. Some things like jewelry are more self-evident than others. Other people make things and it's like, okay, what would I do with that? If that's the kind of thing you make, then you just need to be prepared to tell people. You need to give people an idea why they would choose this over something else. In jewelry, it may not matter because people are choosing it, because of how it looks. But if you're making something more functional, if it's got selling points, like I know somebody does the little things that you can make baked potatoes in. Well, you tell them, okay, this you can cook a baked potato and it won't dry out and so forth and so on. You have to provide the benefits that give people an aha moment. You want to tell people the materials that are incorporated into the product. I've had people look at my pictures, my glass landscapes, and say, oh, what lovely paintings. And Pazulich Glassworks should give it away that it's actually glass, but sometimes you have to connect the dots for people and let them know actually what you're working with. And it's especially important if you're in textiles. If you're making it with silk or cotton or polyester or whatever, people need to know that information to make a buying decision. You need to know the size and weight. I have a picture on the internet and it looks like it's this big. Well, people don't know whether it's wall size or whether it's, a miniature that will go on a door frame someplace. You need to give care and handling instructions and safety information if that applies to your product. And you need to have the price and the applicable tax. And the tax laws are changing. And you need to know its shipping and handling charges if you're going to ship. You also need to know how you're going to ship and how you're going to take money. Okay? You're probably going to want to have general information about your art. Why you are driven to do this. Why, what in your background led you to do something and become an expert at it. You're going to need your contact information. You're going to need information on payment options. Are you doing PayPal? Are you collecting credit cards? Do you use the square. You're going to have to let not only know yourself what you're going to do, but you have to let people know what you're going to do. If you're going to ship things, you know, on eBay, you know, it's pretty good. They're pretty good at calculating how much shipping will cost and so forth. But you have to have all that wrapped up ahead of time so that you can tell people at the point of sale, okay, here's what shipping's going to cost you, and here's how I'm going to ship it, and here's when you can expect it. And you need to have a returns policy. Your policy may be no returns whatsoever, you know, but it also may be, you know, we're really, or, you know, we want to make all of our customers happy. So if for any reason you're unhappy, you know, you can send it back, and, you know, if you really want to be special, you can say, and we'll even pay for that. Amazon has created a whole new set of shipping expectations, and it would do well for some of the rest of us to consider, you know, having policies that make it as easy to do business with us as possible. And no matter which kind of options you use, you're going to need search engine optimization. That's a fancy acronym that's been around for a long time, but basically it means, how are people going to know about your shop that's up on the internet? How are people going to know that you're selling there? There's a lot of principles of SEO that apply, but the reality is each person has to kind of figure out what set of SEO options works for them. SEO is a definition. It's the art and science of publishing and marketing information that ranks well in the search engines. If people can't find you by putting your company's name or your name in Google, you know, if they can't find you, they can't buy from you. It encompasses the technical and creative elements required to improve rankings, and rankings are everything in search engines. It's how important you are next, you know, with the next 50 people who have a similar name or the same name. It drives traffic and it increases awareness in search engines. And search engines are like Google and Bing and Yahoo. They have very complicated algorithms and very proprietary that tell them how to rank things in order when you search for something. You know, you don't want to appear on the 50th page of Google's search engine. You want to appear on the first page. So for the SEO basics, and this just kind of covers, you know, some of the easy things, you want to make sure that you have clear, relevant content about your art and products. You want to have more links to and from other websites. And this seems a little bit daunting at first, but you need to have other websites and other online entities mention you. You know, if you get a write-up about you in a lot of, say, small newspapers, The Patch, The Connection, all of those kinds of things, that's going to move you up the ladder in your SEO rankings and make sure that, and help you get things higher up in the search engine. If you have a shop on Etsy, if you have a blog someplace, you know, if you do Instagram and Facebook, all of those different pieces of internet business are going to help elevate your business higher up in the search findings. If you have a really unique name, it helps. All you have to do is put in Pazulich, because I'm the only Pazulich in the whole country who's got a lot of stuff online. I come right up to the top of the search engine. You know, it helps if you have a really unique name that nobody else has. Let's see. Also for SEO basics, and you can get a lot of this through Google Analytics and so forth. Do people stay on your site getting the information they need, which is a good thing, or do they hit on your site and then immediately go someplace else? Google and other search engines are keeping track of all of that stuff, and if people are just bouncing immediately off of your site and going away, it's going to come to the conclusion that your site doesn't have the clear and relevant information that would move it to the top of the rankings. Your site has to have good loading speed and mobile friendliness. If somebody is trying to look for you on their phone and they don't have a mobile friendly or, you know, wherever your shop is, isn't mobile friendly, then they're gonna leave it and go someplace else. And they also say the use of corporate appropriate tags and keywords will help search engines deliver your target to your website. So tonight we have 3 case studies of online selling. First, we're going to do Roz Williams. She uses WordPress as her website design platform. She also uses Etsy. She uses the dropship print vendors and Envato for website and graphic design. And then her social media accounts include Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter. So she's quite active, and now she's going to tell us how she does it.
Hello again. I'm just going to give a brief overview of WordPress. WordPress is an open source software platform that you use to build websites. Open source means that there are developers all around the world that collaborate and work together to build this framework. And they create themes, they create plugins, they create all of the stuff that you need for this site for using WordPress, and it's free. So if you are dealing with a budget and you're trying to keep costs down, if you know a little bit about coding, you don't have to know coding to use WordPress, but it helps if you know a little bit. So I have built my own websites using WordPress, and I've built sites for other people as well as part of my other hat that I wear, design work. But there are a couple of things that are good about WordPress is that it comes with a lot of themes. And if you don't know what that is, a theme is kind of like a designed framework that's already put together. And all you have to do is go in and put in your own information. You can just overwrite what's there. And you don't have to do any design work, you don't have to know any coding to do that. So it makes it very easy to use. The other thing is that there are developers all over the world doing plugins for WordPress. So plugins automate a lot of the processes that you would want to use on your website. For example, if you want to collect email addresses, there are plugins that you can put on there to create a little sign-up box or a pop-up. When somebody lands on your site, a little box will pop up that will collect email addresses for you and put them into a database. A long time ago, people would have to email you. You just put your email address on there and you get all kinds of spam. And people would send you their email address or their contact information, and you would have to manually put all of that into some kind of database to keep up with it all. Plugins automate a lot of those kinds of procedures so that you don't have so much work to do. All of that being said, once you get your website put together, then the real work begins. Because nobody, like she said, you can't just put it up there and they will come. Not going to happen. You have to really study what she was talking about, SEO, search engine optimization. You have to find what keywords go with the kind of work that you're doing and are the most popular ones that people search for. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it's better to find the most unusual keywords that people would look for to find your work so that you don't have so much competition, and then that will boost you up. You have to have a lot of links to other sites. If you're, as she said, if you're mentioned somewhere else in an article or it's a site that you like, or a friend of yours has a site and they will link to you, the more interconnections you can build into WordPress with other sites, the better and higher your search engine ranking will be. What else?
Do you want to show them your site?
Can we do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Go to while she's working with that, I can continue talking. The other thing that you want to consider when you build your website is to have a lot of visuals. She mentioned pictures, but also have videos, start a YouTube channel, anything that you can interconnect.
What's your website
But
address?
with NONPEIL-LTD.com. The Google really likes visuals and videos, so the more interactive videos and things you have on your site, the more likely you are to move up higher in the ranks. So this is a site that I built. I used a theme, and I put in my own, I changed I know some coding, so I changed the colors of the original theme. But this is how you land on my homepage. And then if you click on artist, I have there a summary. You can scroll down. That's a little introduction. It's kind of hard to see the whole screen.
Yeah, I don't want to type on it.
Yeah. You can go ahead and click on blog. And that was the other thing that I wanted to mention. Your content needs to change almost constantly. You need to be at least updating on at least a weekly basis, every couple of weeks. You need to add something new. That's what we were saying, you can't just put it out there. If a site is out there and it hasn't been changed or touched or modified in months or weeks, Google starts ignoring it and it gets pushed down and down. So you want to be constantly adding new pictures. Even if all you do is you make a new piece, take a picture of it, do a little post about it. You don't have to write a book every time. Just do a little post, just so that Google can see that the site is alive and somebody's paying attention to it. So you have to keep your information going. Now, I have recently taken a full-time job outside my home 2 years ago. And when I was working from home, I worked from home from 97 to 2016. So I kind of set my own schedule during the day. So my website's got lots of attention. But in the last 2 years, it has been a bit challenging because when I get home in the evening, I just don't feel like it. So I have not been updating my site, and it's evident. So I'm just now starting to, I've kind of gotten in the swing of my job, and I know how to allocate my time a little bit differently. And so now I'm getting ready to start working my way back into things and tying in all of the social media things that were mentioned are all going to be kind of pulled together. And so that's my plan. We'll see how that goes. But this just gives you an idea of what you can build with using WordPress. And like I said, you don't have to know code. There are lots of, it's free, and a lot of the themes are free. If you want a really decent theme, then you just Google premium WordPress themes, and that will get you to the fancier ones that have more features and more interesting layouts. And sometimes they will give you several different kinds of options within one theme. You can have different looks. Because you really don't want to, I don't really like the free ones. Usually they're kind of cheesy. They don't look very professional. And a million people have them. And so your site is not going to be that unique. So I like to go for the premium themes. And she mentioned one source is Envato.com. If you go on there, they have thousands and thousands of premium themes, and they cost anywhere from $25 to $100 for one theme. And some of them come, as I said, with more than one layout.
Okay. Any questions? questions for Roz?
Any questions on WordPress?
So if you're going to be on Twitter and do all of this stuff, how many hours a week are you going to spend?
Well, that's, what I do is I get a calendar and I map it out. Instead of trying to do all things every day with no real plan, I try to say, okay, on Mondays, I'm gonna do one blog post on my Nonpareil site. On Tuesday, I'm going to tweet about the blog post that I wrote yesterday, and so forth. And I just kind of, I just map it out over a week's time so that I'm not overwhelmed with so many things to do in one evening. Because sometimes it just does not work out. Sometimes I don't get anywhere near my laptop when I get home, and I don't get to do it, and then that means you have to double up. So I try to spread it out so that everything's not being done at one time. Because you can really overwhelm yourself with this. But if you really want your site to be active and moving, you have to do the marketing. And that's the challenge of being in the craft world. You're making your stuff, but you gotta tell people about it too. Otherwise, you're just making stuff that nobody knows.
I know that, Roz, everything that you do is one of a kind, as is many of our work as well. Some people's less so, others more so. Do you photograph everything and put it up, or do you only do a sample of your work so it's not too overwhelming for you or your website visitors? How do you handle that side of things?
I do samples, I don't do every single piece. But I do have an Etsy store, which has also been woefully neglected. And so I haven't had a lot of sales with that. I find with my work, one of the, I guess, drawbacks of selling one-of-a-kind work online is that people want to see it. They want to try it on. They want to know, how big is that? Or is it heavy? And so they really want to see it. So I don't find that online sales work quite as well for me as they might for other people who are selling things that are more product oriented, that people kind of know what size a placemat is going to be. They don't really have to see it in person, but my work is unusual.
Do you put the
so.
measurements up when you're doing it?
I do, but they're estimates. But still, some people just don't have the ability to imagine, okay, it says it's 2 inches by 1.5 inches. You know, I think people just really want to see what I have as opposed to buy it online. So my online presence is more informational than sales, because I'm just showing what my work looks like. And then usually if people are interested, they'll just email me and say, I want something in this metal, and then they give me carte blanche to go ahead and make it.
Do you ever photograph with, reference points, reference items next to it, display
Oh.
items?
I'm gonna repeat it. She's asking if I ever photograph with reference points in the pictures. Sometimes, but I kinda don't like that. I don't like to have a picture with a quarter or a dime.
Yeah.
I don't like that. It just kinda bugs me, so. I just want the artwork to stand on its own. And I guess I feel like if people are really interested, they'll contact me. But I don't like to put those little things because I think it's a distraction.
It cheapens
But that's
the
just,
picture, just-
yeah, it looks out of place, so I don't do that. But on Etsy, I see that a lot,
Yeah.
yeah.
And, there's always put more, like the river necklace, showing somewhere in it.
Yeah.
That's probably more important if you have an item that could be, that you really can't tell whether it's this big or this big. For jewelry, most people are going to assume, okay, it's a bracelet, it's going to fit on my wrist and so forth. So it really depends on what you're selling as to how important providing a reference point would be.
Other question?
Susan Palomino. She sells her products via an Etsy store, and she's got social media accounts including Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, and uses Google Analytics and Google AdWords to help with her search engine optimization. And you want to give me your website on that? Okay, I'll Google you.
Yes, you can Google me, yes. Speaking of Google, Google has, as we all know, Google has really changed things for us. It changes how we think, and it certainly has changed how we shop. You can get things as personalized and as customized as you ever could want to. And unfortunately, that's good in a lot of ways, because that means that the small seller, the small business owner, has a lot of opportunities to break into these markets of people who are looking for something unique, who are looking for something personalized. But at the same time, it sets up an expectation too that you are going to be online. This was back in 2013, there was a Nielsen study that partnered with Google, and just a couple of statistics to throw out to you from there, that on average, every mobile search triggered 2 follow-up actions. 55% of conversions happened within the hour. If you look at my stats, when I look at my Google stats, yeah, when people are there, they know what they want and they're ready to buy. And it happens very quickly many times. 73% of mobile searches resulted in additional actions and conversions, and 50% were goal-oriented and conducted to help make a decision. So people, they're online, they know what they want, they're ready to buy. So if you don't have an online presence, you're missing out on that. And in fact, I would tell you that probably, in all probability, someone has Googled you, or maybe somebody's Googling you right now. So it is important to think about your online presence. And when I started my business, I knew that I needed to have that aspect. Even if I really wanted to do the craft shows, I needed the online portion too, because there is the expectation out there that you will have. I chose Etsy as my platform.
What's your store name?
Okay, it's Cricket, CRICKETWILLOW.
Like that.
All right, so this is my shop. The thing that I like about being on Etsy and about being online in general is that it adds another face to you. You can have a lot of different faces. You can do shows. You can sell on Facebook. Whatever you do, it helps you to have another face. It gives you another presence, and that helps sales. Everything helps sales. For me, it definitely helps me. I have products, I have raw materials that expire. You maybe think, oh, I sell jewelry, so I don't, but you do actually, because you have things that are trendy, right? And you've got stuff in your closet that used to be really in style and now isn't. So whatever you sell, it helps to have these different facets, because it helps you to go through product more quickly so that you can keep up with trends, so that you can, for me, so that I don't have things sitting on a shelf that are ready to expire. Also, one thing that I've noticed too is that people tend, at least in my shop, I don't know that if this is always true, but people buy people buy different things online than they do in person. And I think that's because they know what they're looking for, and if they hear the word lavender, they know what lavender is, but if they hear some rosewood something, then they may not know what that is. So it helps me to have a variety of things so that I can have a variety of products, sell different things online than maybe I would in person. So a lot of the things that Roz talked about, and even what Emily talked about, is not quite the same with Etsy. One of the benefits of Etsy is that it's just easy to do. It's easy to set up your shop. You don't have to know coding. You don't have to. You tell Etsy how you want to collect your money, but they kind of do a lot of that stuff for you. So it makes it easy. There's also a low barrier to entry. It actually doesn't cost. There's no monthly fee. It costs 20 cents for every listing. So if you can scroll through, then you can see some of the listings. So each one of these pictures with the price underneath, that's one listing. It's 20 cents per listing, and that listing is good for 4 months. If you sell an item, every time an item sells, Etsy will collect a percentage. They are raising their prices as of the middle of July. It's going to be 5% on total revenue. So every time you sell something, Etsy is going to take 5% of that total revenue. So there's the 20 cents, there's the 5%, and then there's whatever credit card fee or PayPal fee or whatever that is incurred that you would get even if you were at a craft show. It has a user-friendly shop manager that just kind of lists everything. They have good stats available so that you can figure out how am I doing and what search words are working for me and all of that kind of thing. One nice thing about Etsy is that people can find you because people know, not everybody, but lots of people know what Etsy is, or they've heard of Etsy. So they can find you because they're already in Etsy and they're already ready to buy. But the downside of Etsy, one of the downsides, is that the competition is stiff. I think if you typed in handmade soap into the search box, I think you would come up with 274,000 items. So there's a lot of stuff on Etsy. And the competition is fierce, not just in my category, but across the board. I'm competing with dollars that people have to spend on gift for grandma or gift for mother-in-law or whatever. So there's a lot of competition, saturated pages with many times 50 or more images on each page.
Do they?
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
see the stars, the rating. Is there a place for users to comment through Etsy?
Yes, and people pay attention to that, and that actually helps you quite a bit in your rankings on Etsy. So if you're trying to be seen among all of these pages of soap sellers, if you have good ratings, that tells Etsy that people like you and you're a good shop. And so that's one thing that they use to help you to rank higher. When you make a purchase, then you can go under purchases and reviews, and you can leave a review for that product. Yeah.
Jiggle your cord, there's lots of
Yeah,
static
that's
coming
kinda
through in your
what I
voice.
There you
thought.
go. There you go.
Is that better? No.
It was.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I was.
No.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, my goodness.
I won't move. Okay, so, so the downside is that there's a lot of competition and saturated pages. One other thing that I would tell you about Etsy is what Emily talked about, SEO, very, very important. Etsy has its own search engine. So while you can get found on Google, and if you Googled handmade soap or whatever you wanted to on Google, you would see Etsy ads because Etsy gets found by Google. So you do get found. I do get searches from Google. The vast majority of my searches are from Etsy itself because Etsy has its own search engine. So when you type in that right at the top, if you type in whatever you want to, Google uses their own search engine to help to find the most relevant searches for that item. So if you type in, they give the example on their help guide, banana backpack. You want to buy a banana backpack. If you type in banana backpack, that Etsy is automatically gonna find the most relevant searches for you for that search term. So it's all about figuring out what search terms work for your particular product and how to get found in search so that you don't get lost among the 275,000 bars of soap. That's a lot of banana backpacks, yeah. All right, does anybody have any questions? Mm-hmm. Carol?
I know when I looked at Etsy, I find some things are very underpriced, and shipping seems to be very underpriced. Do you do different pricing for Etsy, or do you feel like your pricing is competitive, and do you lose money on the shipping side of things?
That is a great question, and one that I feel like I'm constantly working on. Right now, I don't price things differently. For the most part, my prices are the same whether I'm in person or online, because I feel like people are gonna have that expectation. But I feel like pricing has been kind of a constant adjustment for me, and especially with shipping. Etsy is really moving toward, they're really starting to push free shipping. Or free shipping over a certain amount or something like that. They're really, really pushing that. And that shipping has to come from somewhere. And so you find yourself, what has worked for me so far is to lower the shipping costs overall, but put some of those dollars into my product. So I'm pricing so that I can absorb some of those shipping costs, and then I'm charging shipping. I can't say that's the way that I'm gonna continue to do it, because Etsy is so intent on the whole free shipping thing that I think it's gonna move more and more toward free shipping, which is a real problem, because what they try to do is, what ends up happening is it's a race to the bottom. So you gotta have kind of a downward spiral to the bottom. I still think it's a great platform. It's been a great platform for me, but they have made a lot of changes in the last 18 months, especially with their new CEO. And so it remains to be seen whether it's still going to be a viable option. I know a lot of people that start out on Etsy, and the ultimate goal being to have their own website. Once they learn how to drive traffic to their website, try to get off Etsy, because you have less competition that way. Anybody else? Thank you so much.
All right. We have one more. Oh, Lord. Can she do two things at once? I'll fix that after. Iris Grundler, who you all know, and I will get to her. She uses a Facebook shop. I don't have it in front of me, so I have to find it. No, she doesn't use Shopify. I'll let you tell them what you do. I'll get back to it.
I favor Facebook, although I have different social media, Instagram, Pinterest, Square App Store, so. But I favor Facebook simply because it's very popular. You can reach to the customer wherever they are via messengers. If they like it further, they're gonna say, how can I get this sometimes, or can I get it in different colors via message, and you get it immediately. And also like it because the customer service is good. I had several incidents, and I emailed to the customer service, and it took them 2 days to take care of any issues that I might have. And 70% of the people are using Facebook, so you can't beat that. They have the tools, you can't beat that. It doesn't cost much. But I always link my Square App Store to my business page on Facebook. So if you want to start with Facebook, you have to initiate your personal profile and then create a business page. That's the only way Facebook will allow you to do it. You can't start with a business page because it's a social media. It's just to socialize, it's for family. But Facebook also created Pinterest. It's the same company. they link each other. So if you use Pinterest, you can link it to Facebook. If you want to promote, it will promote also on Facebook. And also Facebook works with Google. Google has every information, every single email that you know, that you have in your laptop, that you have in your computer, in your phone, the groups that you belong, they know you. So you can, so if you wanna promote one product, they already have the information. At Facebook, just tap into that and promote your sale. The way I started setting up my page was, like I said, personal profile, then created the page, the business page. Once I have my business page, I take pictures of my pottery, mostly white background, no noise. And then I talk about what inspired me to make that particular piece. I can post pictures when it's 50% done or when it's 100% done. Then they have a button in there that it says shop now, and leads it directly to the Square app. It could be linked to any other, like Shopify, and they have also Stripe that Facebook uses if you don't have one. So you can sign up for that too. They take, I don't think they take percentage, but the returning policy is longer. So in my case, no returns. You get it? When I go to ship those, I take picture of the piece that is not broken, and then hand it to the UPS, and I said, this is what's going on right now. UPS is packing and delivering to you. So if you want to, if it's over $100, you pay for insurance. I don't pay for any shipping. Although I do use, and I'm guilty of that, I use Amazon Prime. Everything is I use Amazon Prime, which is everything is free. I pay that fee every year, over $100. So anyway, then after that, when the person is interested in your product, I describe what the piece is in terms of the physical attributes of it. So in that way, they know exactly what they're getting. Then I try to get personal with the person because they are a potential collector in my case. So I try to be very friendly and find their likes and dislikes. And they like that. They like that one-to-one, interaction, which I think is beneficial for both because Facebook has another advantages. Say for instance, that person likes your work, and they can promote your work. Say, I tell my girlfriends, say, for my birthday, if you want to buy me something, just promote one of my pictures. It might cost you $1, it might cost $5, I don't care. But don't just like it, promote that picture. And then the pyramid stars. My friends send it to her friends and their friends, so on and so forth. But they spend $5 promoting my work. That's how I go about it. So, like I said, they had the tools, so I don't have to deal with that. And plus, my nature of my pottery is something that I cannot let it sit for a few days. I have to start and finish. Otherwise, the piece eventually will crack if I let it sit. So I have to babysit a lot. And once I'm working with mud, I can do anything. I can't answer telephone. I can't sit in the computer because I'm all muddy and dirty. So I answer only messages and emails. So that cuts the time of me writing, anything about constantly. So I found that satisfying for my needs. Another advantage that I found it in, let me see, I forgot something. Yeah, if you want to start your platform, it's user-friendly. You create your page, and they ask you your personal information. You can put as much as you want. You don't have to even put your address. It's all up to you what you put out there. I like to stay local. Say for instance, I belong to groups, my church group. I have no intention to sell overseas. So I joined to this group, I post my pictures, very little pictures of my family, and I get friendly with them, and sometimes when I post my potteries, they like it. And so within that group, the people in that church, they like it, and they know that I do pottery. You can have another group, the neighborhoods. So my neighborhood has a group, and they even control what trash company come in my development. They're very picky about it. They don't want too many companies because they steal things sometimes. And you never know, you can't, you just want to avoid it. Plus they have teenagers too. And a lot of the people don't like their cars, so they want to make sure that nobody's roaming around the neighborhood. So your neighbors, they know what you're doing, they know what you're selling. There are many groups. You can go in Maryland only, in Virginia. You can go DC only. You belong to groups. In my case, I belong to several groups in pottery. And we talk, and we like each other's work, and we criticize each other's work. And but everything that if I decide to buy is linked to a Square. A Square has also a store that I don't have to be a brain surgeon to create it. I just had good pictures, and they already set it up for me. And believe it or not, people that are in a Square are artists, and they appreciate other people's arts. And I sell it to them. So, it's just going viral, from the east to the coast. I saw somebody from Michigan, a teapot, and so I have, it's from the Square, from the Square Art store. Other advantages is, let's see. Oh yeah, the fees are very minimum. You can promote for 500 people for $1, or for different states as much as you want to spend. I like it simply because when I got to Metro, I used to find a lot of newspapers, and I see who's reading newspaper nowadays. Everything is, in the internet. Everybody reads just the internet. So I don't have the capability or the knowledge to reach that many people. So I'd rather pay $100 if I wanted to, heavy on it. The most I spent the last year was probably $30. I tried to start on Wednesday and promote our events until the event is ended. So it's something that I do. I don't, because I want people to know about what's going on with the guild. So I spent $5, to promote the group, which everybody benefits, but we can do the same thing. Everyone here, invest $5, and like I said, Google knows all the emails, and you choose how many people you want to reach, where you want to reach. They give you all those choices. Normally in delivering time, if you sell locally, what I've done is sometimes I meet 2 or 3 people in a public place, or sometimes in a hotel parking lot, and they say, well, it's midways for you, so I don't have to drive all the way to you, because I'm not driving that far, always 50-50. But like I said, my policy is no returns. Once you see it, you touch it, you hold it, yours. So, you can't say, well, I changed my mind, it doesn't fit my decor. You have pictures, and you're under control of what you're doing. There was one lady that she bought a piece from me and took it home for her son, and her son sat on it. You know, and she calls me like, all right, yeah.
And?
Yeah, what I'm supposed to do. So, you know, well, you broke it. You know, I can make another one, you know, but it's gonna cost you. So you just have to set your limits. But like I said, everything I do is local. I don't, you know, I have no intention to go, I'm a small, this is my second life. It's your decision how much time you put in it. I like to do pottery. I wanna make money to continue to do pottery. I know I'm not gonna become rich with pottery, you know, so, that's my goal, to continue to do as long as I can. Now, pottery is not cheap, but we sell it cheaply. I always tell my husband, I say, why buy a $20 coffee mug if I can make it for $10,000?
Yeah.
So that's the bottom line. So I don't use my income, my husband's money to, you know, support my hobby, because it's my hobby. And I don't force him to help me, plus I fired him a couple of times for breaking a couple of my So there you have it, you know, it's what you put in it, is what you're gonna get back to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so now you know everything about internet sales, and you can go home, and by tomorrow, everyone will have some kind of site up, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, anyway, let us know if you have any other questions. We'll be around for a little bit afterwards, and I will give you back to Cara.